Hello, government students. We're going to be talking about the ratification of the Bill of Rights in Section 5 of Chapter 2 of the book. The main idea is that before the Constitution could take effect, a heated debate between those in favor of the Constitution and those opposed to it took place in all states. You'll notice in the reading focus, these are probably the questions that you're going to want to put down in your PDP Cornell notes. So keep that in mind as you're going through and taking notes. So moving back a little bit, when the Constitutional Convention ended, some people were a little bit surprised at how far they had actually gotten in writing a constitution, but not everyone was satisfied with it. The biggest issues had to do with the memories they had from British rule, fearing that a national government could become too strong and they'd deal with many of the issues they dealt with in a constitutional monarchy. Some felt that a new national government would greatly reduce the powers of the state legislatures and completely restructure Congress. Because 9 out of the 13 states had to agree or had to sign or ratify the Constitution for it to go into law, several changes were going to have to take place. There were basically two factions: the Federalists, who supported the Constitution, and the Anti-Federalists, who opposed the Constitution or demanded that it be changed in order for it to be approved. The chart here gives you a pretty good idea of how both sides felt, but the Anti-Federalists basically felt that the Constitution betrayed the democratic ideals from the American Revolution. They saw the document as going against state sovereignty, republicanism, and the liberty of the people. They were concerned that national government would become too powerful, similar to having a king. But the strongest criticism was that the Constitution lacked a Bill of Rights guaranteeing people's civil liberties. The Federalists, on the other hand, were strong supporters of a national government. They too feared that a central government could become too strong, but more so than that, they worried about having too weak of a national government, which is really what they had been dealing with for a while. They felt a national government would strengthen their very fragile union and promote the public good. Government would have to be empowered to defend the nation against foreign enemies, regulate trade, take care of internal disturbances, like the mob at Shays' Rebellion. And they also put in a separation of powers in the Constitution, which limited government power, so they felt that they had sort of addressed the issue of too strong of a national government. I can tell you 100% for sure, you will see a question on the test regarding the differences between Federalists and Anti-Federalists. It could be in the form of a short answer essay, but it could also be in the form of multiple choice questions, so please be prepared for that. So Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay, not your Buchanan Bears basketball coach, got together and wrote a series of letters defending the Constitution under the pen name Publius, who was one of the founders of the Roman Republic. And they authored 85 essays total defending the Constitution and in what they called collectively the Federalist Papers. They circulated throughout the United States, and they proved to be very influential in the ratification debate. Papers 10 and 15 argued the Constitution would balance influence of different factions or groups who attempt to bend the government to serve their own will at the expense of the common good. Other papers explained how principles of government would limit national authority and preserve liberty, namely checks and balances and the separation of powers. The Anti-Federalists published their own rebuttal essays. Their chief concern was protecting liberty, certain unalienable and fundamental rights that they felt had to be explicitly fixed and addressed. Again, another test question. It's important for you to know why the Federalist Papers were written, and that'll be something we discuss in class. So during the struggle for ratification, the Federalists were a little bit better prepared. They started by targeting smaller states that would value having equal representation in government with larger states, whereas the larger states were more difficult to convince. Really, what it came down to was the Anti-Federalists wanted a Bill of Rights added to the Constitution. And once the promise of adding a Bill of Rights occurred, all 13 states eventually ratified the Constitution. The first Congress made the Bill of Rights one of its first priorities. Really, they wanted the rights that had been voiced in the Declaration of Independence to be put on paper. And in December of 1791, 10 amendments that are referred to now as the Bill of Rights were ratified. It was also suggested that these rights be protected as amendments or official changes to the Constitution. And they protect freedoms such as freedom of speech, press, religion, due process, right to a fair trial, and trial by jury. And we'll go over those more as we move forward here. You could get a map question on your test, and if you notice here, the smaller states were heavily Federalist states, and the larger states had a greater contingency of anti-Federalists, which would make sense because if you have a larger population and more representation, you're not going to want a national government telling you what to do. So you could see a question along those lines. It's critical that you understand that the Bill of Rights, how key the Bill of Rights was to the ratification process. That's it for now. It's a short section, but make sure you're prepared for Monday. I hope this helps you with the notes and in your reading process. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. Have a great week.